Hey, and a pleasant good evening to you, gang, and welcome to Night Moves here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. My name is Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining me here. What a night, what a day on Saturday, huh? With some of the college football action, Major League Baseball, and more. We saw uh, some wild games for sure, some big games, some big results, some upsets for sure in the top five in college football, and what a day! We'll get ready for a big Sunday here of NFL football, just a few hours away, actually, here from the time of this taping, close to midnight here on the West Coast. Thank you for joining me here on Night Moves live from Las Vegas, and get ready for NFL football in just about 6.5 hours from now. But oh man, how about the United States Ryder Cup team? Europe holding a commanding lead following the play on Saturday. Yeah, the fans were boorish, the fans were rude, and why not? I was mad too watching these guys, even though we did tout here on the Night Move show, and I liked Europe this week, maybe for the reasons of what we're seeing right now with the United States Ryder Cup team. They just can't seem to get it together. Emotionally or as a team here. Bradley looks like a fine captain. I don't know if it's the order of play. I don't know if we have to choose guys who are better in the. I mean, you're not going to not have Scotty Scheffler on the team, right? But man, it just seems so bizarre here how the U.S. has been El Foldo here, basically over right now in the Ryder Cup. Europe, hey, they don't mind a little. Boorish behavior maybe by the fans. You could walk away with that trophy and stick it in their face in front of the president of the United States. And, it's a nice display of patriotism, but not a great display of golf for sure. And they were getting crushed from the get go there, it felt like, on Saturday, so they'll give it one more round. But other than maybe watching NFL football, what else are we going to do here early on Sundays? So there have been bigger leads in the Ryder Cup for sure, but only a couple of them right now, so it doesn't look good for the United States. Want to say hello to Mr. Weskers, our man in the chat. He's got the night moves going on in there for sure. Maybe MJ could help the Ryder Cup team get it going there. He was trying to root him home, but wasn't looking too good so far for the United States. Well, that was the headline anyway of the day, but also some great college football action. And how about the big game of the night just a few hours ago, wrapped up with Oregon winning that game over Penn State 30-24 in overtime. Oregon led 17-3 heading into the fourth quarter, but here came the points. And Penn State came all the way back to tie the game. It went to overtime. Penn State tied it with 30 seconds left. Ducks outgained the Nittany Lions by 150 yards in a game that was tied 3-all at halftime. Oregon gets it done in overtime with that great touchdown and then the turnover stop to win it as Oregon knocks off Penn State to keep going here right now. And we saw, hey, at least someone in the top five, but one uh, on Saturday as Ohio State looked pretty good in doing so, but the rest of the top five was a disaster pretty much. There with number three, number four, number five going to be a shakeup for sure. Let's take a look at some of the games and upsets from Saturday's action. Maybe not all the top teams right now, but Alabama defeating Georgia once again, 24-21. Alabama led 24-14 at halftime. Looked like it was going to be kind of a higher scoring game for these two, but Georgia got the only touchdown of the second half. Crimson Tide, 13 of 19 on third down. Georgia just 2 of 8. Kirby Smart's never been able to figure out the Crimson Tide. Even if the Tide looked down, here they are back in it with just one loss right now. That's in it right now at this time with what's going on here right now at the top of the rankings. You're going to be able to get in there with one or two losses here in the playoff here right now. Georgia had won 33 straight home games and 20 in a row in conference and get it done here with Alabama beating Georgia 24-21 on Saturday. Hey, how about Texas A&M? They're 4-0 for the first time since 2016. Maybe they didn't get the money necessarily against Auburn in the 16-10 win. Auburn had just 175 yards and were 0 for 12 on third down, but still might have gotten the money for you there. A&M outgained them by 250 yards, even though they were only 3 of 14 on third down. The Aggies rushed for 200 yards on 47 carries and got it done with a workmanlike effort there at home, and did win it by 6. I think most of the line was 6.5 or 7. So Auburn still got the money there in that one. The Aggies are 4-0 for the first time in 9 seasons. Ole Miss over LSU, 24-19. Chambliss was in there at quarterback. I kind of said the other quarterback would be in there last night, but it doesn't matter which one you had in there because I don't know, they're kind of the same prototype, if you will. Chambliss was playing at D2 Ferris State last year. Rebels led 17-7 at halftime. They outgained LSU, nearly doubled their output offensively as Ole Miss beat LSU 24-19. And they were out posing for pictures there at Ole Miss, if you know what I mean, before the game. One of the best games of the night was overtime. Tennessee over Mississippi State, 41-34. Said Aguiar could have a big game here, and he indeed did. 335 yards and a touchdown, but Tennessee was the team that had to force overtime, scoring a touchdown with under 2 minutes to play. Mississippi State did run for nearly 200 yards on 57 carries, but it was Tennessee who got that win in overtime there yesterday in our SEC roundup. There, early action, Illinois over USC in another one of the games of the day. The Illini kicked a 41-yard field goal at the gun for the walk-off win. USC had taken the lead just moments earlier on a touchdown, 32-31 with under 2 minutes to play. Altmaier looked pretty good there for Illinois, throwing for well over 300 yards. Mayava, we touted him as well, said he could have a strong game too, and we're on Mayava with 364 yards, 2 TDs, but in the end it was Illinois with that 34-32 victory. The Illini knock off the Trojans. I thought it would be a little bit lower scoring than that. Now, I knew that certainly Mayaba, I was talking him up, but did go under the 62 there by a few points. How about Georgia Tech eking it out over Wake Forest on the road in overtime, 30-29. You see the theme here. Wake Forest led just 17-3 at halftime, and man, Georgia Tech is a team that knows how to put together a comeback. They forced overtime, kicking a 33-yard field goal with 2 seconds left in regulation. Tech scored 7 points in overtime. Wake scored a TD, went for 2, didn't get it. And that's what happens. Georgia Tech got the win. Tech's 2 wins so far in the ACC are by 4 total points, but hey, they're winning. Cincinnati and Kansas in one of the games of the day, 37-34. The Bearcats drove 75 yards and scored on a 2-yard touchdown with 30 seconds left in the game. Lots of offense in this one, almost 12. It was 1,200 yards of total offense. Cincinnati actually had 4 touchdowns called back because of penalties. They did cash in a couple of times there, but they kind of shot themselves in the foot. One team that's certainly going to be climbing the charts and getting a lot of attention here this week is the Memphis Tigers. They've won 9 in a row dating back to last season. That's the most by any team in the country right now, and they're off to a great start here as well this season, and they got the win over Florida Atlantic. You can only beat who you're playing, I guess, but right now, Memphis getting a lot of attention. It was only 17-16 at halftime, but they won the game 55-26. Memphis ran for nearly 300 yards at 6.5 yards per carry. So Memphis with a confident win there. How about The Vanderbilt Commodores, they are 5-0 for the first time since 2008. Diego Pavia, is he kind of being overlooked in the Heisman race right now because he's with Vandy? 321 yards, 5 touchdown passing, over touchdown rushing, and they won 55-35 over Utah State. But Diego Pavia, the veteran here, can throw his hat into the ring, I think, as far as maybe trying to get a trip to New York. We'll see how well Vanderbilt does here moving forward with some conference games. If they can pull off some big upsets, maybe Pavia could be your ticket in pocket for the Heisman Trophy. Let's see here, a couple other good ones. How about Minnesota and Rutgers? Minnesota 31-28 got the win. Scarlet Knights led 14 to nothing early, and then it was 21-14 at halftime. Gophers drove 72 yards for the game-winning touchdown. That came game go-ahead touchdown with 3:20 left in the game. Minnesota, formerly known as kind of having a few good running backs and maybe having a good ground game, just rushed for only 35 yards on 18 carries in that one, but we're able to get it done. They're over Rutgers. 31-28. That one fell almost on the number, but Rutgers pretty much got the money there in that one. So Minnesota picked up the win. I'll mention just briefly here my San Diego State Aztecs with one of the bizarre games of the day. Northern Illinois went down and scored on their first drive. They kicked a field goal to take the lead over San Diego State, but uh, uh, then San Diego State went down and they kicked a field goal on their next drive. It was 3-3 there midway through the first quarter, and there was no scoring until the last play of the game as the Aztecs kicked a 25-yard field goal at the buzzer to win 6-3 in a game that featured just 445 yards or so passing. But I had to mention that one, and a kind of a bizarre game for sure. There no scoring till the end of the game in that one. As San Diego State picked up a 6-3 victory. All right, what were some of your favorite games? Let me know in the chat as I say hello to, well, it's just me and Mr. Weskers here at this point on a Sunday night here on Night Moves. And yeah, Gophers having trouble with those running backs for sure. So that's not what we're used to with the Gophers. All right. Hey, gang, where do we stand in Major League Baseball heading into the final day of the season tomorrow? Wow, we're not going to preview every game tonight here on Night Moves, just 6 or so games that have an impact on the final standings here right now. But let's just see where we stand here at this point and get those playoff picture together here right now. The Blue Jays, they can clinch the AL East with a win over the Rays, or if the Yankees lose to the Orioles, that's the other scenario there. The Guardians, they did clinch their playoff berth on Saturday, but they can clinch the AL Central with a win or over the Rangers or a Tigers loss to the Red Sox. So again, there's 6 games with an impact here today. The Reds can clinch the NL wild card spot with a win or over the Brewers or a Mets loss over the Marlins. It's these tiebreaker scenarios that are almost determining here. Some teams need to win and get help, and the other 3, I guess, if you will, just need to win. Talking about not only those wild cards, but the division titles. The Yankees can clinch the AL East with a win and a Blue Jays loss. The Tigers can clinch the AL Central with a win and a Guardians loss, and the Mets can clinch that NL wild card with a win and a Reds loss because of those tiebreaker scenarios there that make that's the way we're doing it nowadays. We used to have a 1-game playoff. They'd go on Monday, travel, and play 1 game in the years ago, I guess. But now with these tiebreakers, remember the Blue Jays have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Yankees. The Guardians have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Tigers, and the Reds have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Mets. That's what you need to know heading into Sunday's action. And also, you'll need to know that all the major league games start roughly at the same time. There's a few of them that start at 5 after the hour and 10 after the hour, but all the games tomorrow will be at 3:05. The 3 o'clock hour, basically 3:05, 3:10, 3:15, 3:20. They're a little bit staggered, but all the games begin at the 3 o'clock hour, noon Pacific time tomorrow. Not that it matters too much, but that's the way they're doing it on the final day of the season. And we'll preview the 6 games tomorrow that have impact. That'd be Baltimore and the Yankees, Detroit and Boston, Tampa Bay and Toronto, Mets and Miami, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and Texas and Cleveland. And to be quite honest, some of the games, I don't even know if we have enough information to make a real solid pick. Few teams, maybe it's just a bullpen action, and that's how we can look at it with a couple of teams for sure. But hey, throwing everything but the kitchen sink here on Sunday to get those berths, or maybe knock them off, play a little bit of spoiler here on Sunday. We're also going to preview the WNBA games here on Sunday, and we know both series could end here. You got the Aces leading 2-1 over the Fever, and then you have the Minnesota Lynx and the Phoenix Mercury. A lot of controversy surrounding the Minnesota Lynx. Their head coach will be suspended for tomorrow's game for some very, very critical and naughty comments, dropping the F-bomb at the press conference. And, well, Nafisa Collier is out of the big game here on Sunday because basically kind of injured there late in the game with the way things went down there. And that's what one of the things Coach was complaining about for Minnesota. But, man, just a very distasteful comments. I think everyone knows this league looks like they probably have the worst officiating in all of professional sports, but basically calling them out, saying they're not even capable of refereeing the big playoff game. Maybe some other officials, maybe she wanted him there or whatever, but that's flip-flop the favorite for sure without Collier. I know she's an important player, but Minnesota was, remember, roughly a road favorite of 4 points. Now they're going to be a home favorite, they'll be a road dog. Minnesota will be the 4-point favorite now moving into tomorrow's games because of that critical injury here to Nafisa Collier, MVP candidate this season. So could it be the Aces and Phoenix for all Desert Southwest Championship Series here? Could it be the Aces and Phoenix in the WNBA? We'll talk about those 2 games as well. All right. Thanks for joining me here on Night Moves. Hey, everyone, you can check us out over at Tony'sPicks.com and get our premium picks over at Tony's Picks. We have our best bets over there every day at Tony's. You can check us out there, and I'll show you what's going on today here at Tony's Picks. Just head on over to Tony'sPicks.com and check out our handicapper records here. Check out the best from our group, including Ben Ruhala, absolutely smashing it here over the last 24 hours. Ben went 7-1. Ron Crawford had a big day as well with a 10-6 record in there. Al Nino 7-4 on Saturday. Both Ron, Al, Tony, they've been hot over the last 7 days for sure. Check out those handicapper leaderboards and see who's hot, and then get signed up. You can use the promo code TonyT at checkout to save 15% off all premium pick packages, including mine over there on Sunday. Get my top-rated selections at Tony'sPicks.com for the NFL action here on Sunday. I'll have a play in Major League Baseball, WNBA as well over there at Tony's Picks. check us out and use that promo code Tony T off those single day packages. Our long-term packages are already discounted to price there, so save 15% when you use the promo code Tony T at checkout over at Tony'sPicks.com. Check out the latest premium picks from the gang. Take a look. You've got Al loaded up here with his NFL Sunday kickoff. Handicappers locked, loaded, and ready to go for their action. You see Tony T there with his Sunday 3-pack. Chris is loaded up with his top baseball play there as well. So check us out over at Tony'sPicks.com with our premium picks. Absolutely our best picks every day at Tony's Picks. Justin's in there. There's Higgs. He's going to be locked, ready, and loaded for that Vikings-Steelers game. I don't want to give it away. I don't know his pick, but I'm going to preview that game in just a second here on the show. And you see all the group of cappers ready to go over at Tony's Picks. All right. Appreciate you listening to that, and get going here with our previews for today. Starting it off here, of course. Whoops, where'd I go? There we go. Get started with the action here. We know, like we said, we're going to be going right away over to Dublin, Ireland here. Oops, it says at Steelers, should be versus Steelers here, with the Vikings taking on the Steelers here in Dublin, Ireland. Now, they're playing at the same stadium that the college game was played at earlier this season, but yeah, you might expect the same type of turf. NFL is going in there and trying to do a better job, make sure we get a good turf, but that doesn't mean the game's going to be any less high-powered, I guess, here with the Vikings and the Steelers. Look, so far, Vikings have been in a good spot, I guess. I think you got to feel pretty good if you're the Vikings right now at 2-1. You got to feel pretty good if you're the Steelers right now at 2-1 with Rodgers at quarterback right now. Of course, the Vikings have had to turn things around here a little bit with their offense coming into recently with that change to have Carson Wentz in there with McCarthy out right now. So, look, I think it's a good move for the Vikings actually to have Carson Wentz in there. Yeah, maybe McCarthy is their man of the future, but I think right now with what the Vikings have to offer, I think you should be probably looking at Carson Wentz as your quarterback here. Unless he just goes into the tank a little bit. Let's see how he performs. You got a Pittsburgh team over here. Look, 2-1. That's a pretty good deal. I think there were some question marks regarding the Steelers a little bit coming in. They have scored 34 and 21 points in their wins so far this season, just 17 in their loss. The running game isn't really getting anything done right now for Pittsburgh. They're averaging not even 3 yards a carry, but you know what? The rushing averages are kind of down right now in the NFL. I believe we're looking at a lot of teams with under 3.5 yards per carry so far. Now, Pittsburgh has been very opportunistic so far. They're +5 in the turnover department thus far. Now, Pittsburgh 10-6 against the spread. Their last 16 non-conference games. Remember, the Steelers, this is where they thrive in these closely rated games. Now, it could be a reflection of their division play, but still 26-14 in the last 40 with a spread of 3 points or fewer for Pittsburgh. They're also 16-10 in the last 26 against the spread, coming off of a win. For the Vikings here, lost to Atlanta 22-6, but they did have a couple of good offensive performances, including a 48-point barrage against the Bengals, who were playing with their backup quarterback as well, but it was 48-10. Remember, the Vikings had the hammer out there. For O'Connell here with the Vikings, they are 8-3 in their last 11 in the same scenario that I talked about with the Steelers. So maybe you can neutralize that there. Vikings 8-3 against the spread in games of 3 points or less. They're also 14-6 in their last 20 against the spread, coming off of a win, and they're 10-3 against the spread against AFC competition. Uh, Coming in. So these teams have split the last four games, but being a non-conference game, I think that kind of might not be as relative here. Minnesota's won 11 of their last 14, dating back to last season. They're also 6-3 ATS in their last 9 games overall. Pittsburgh just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games. You could say it's a new start though, with Rodgers, whether or not he's going to be super productive or just able to get it done. Like I said, I thought that, pardon me, I thought that this is the right kind of situation for Aaron Rodgers right now. But again, I think the Vikings with Carson Wentz, it's a big, I don't want to say upgrade from J.J. McCarthy, because Wentz, certainly is just has to be regarded as a journeyman here as he's on his fifth team, but kind of one of those guys who bided their time a little bit and waited for these right opportunities. Has always been effective, it seems like, when he gets in there a lot of times. Pittsburgh has still dropped 6 of their last 8, dating back to last season. They've also gone under in 6 of their last 9, and 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone under, but I'm not too worried about that. And in this one, I'm going to take the under at 40.5 here. Let me make sure I got this line right on screen here on Night Moves. I think we can call it 41 right now. I would say that many books have this 2.5 on the Vikings here, currently juiced. I think that's for sure. So for me, I'm going to go under here at 41 with the Vikings and the Steelers over in Dublin, Ireland tomorrow. In this one. Okay, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. So far, I've just got Mr. Weskers in here, and he says Rodgers can look to maybe some revenge against the Vikings. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. I've got a couple dozen of you here riding with me right now on Night Moves, and I like to feature the plays of the chat. So if you want to put your plays in the chat, you can do so. I feature them on the screen, and hey, I even react maybe to your plays, questions, comments here on Night Moves. All right, I think that's a decent enough look here at that game. It is a nice touch here. It'll be, remember, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific in this one for Minnesota and Pittsburgh tomorrow. Look, so far Pittsburgh's pass defense, not so much, right? I think that we're not expecting Pittsburgh to be the steel curtain necessarily, or even get to these guys. And I think with Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, I don't think they'll have a huge game, but maybe a better position than Rodgers and his crew is in right now. DK has looked great, no doubt about it, for the Steelers so far. But beyond that, I do have some concerns. Even at tight end, Minnesota with Hawkinson, and do need to see a little bit more right now from Freiermuth and the Steelers here. Now, the Steelers can get that running game going, but Jalen Warren has carried an injury tag most of the week with questionable designation, but I do expect Jalen Warren to be in there. He's been pretty good this season. He had a great game, of course, against Seattle, and that was the game they actually lost. But a couple of 2-1 teams here. Now I'm going to go under with Minnesota and Pittsburgh. All right. Hey, we're looking for some big games here right now. Let me refresh. I'm watching the big semifinal rugby match here with the Brisbane with the Penrith Panthers and the Brisbane Broncos. Close match here from down under on Night Moves. All right. Let's keep it going here right now with a big game. Wow, look at this. Who would have thunk it? With the Eagles here on the road against the Buccaneers coming in. And, man, the Eagles, they've kind of drifted up here, 2.5 to 3.5 right now. Don't they know what's going on here in Tampa Bay? We know the Eagles are great for sure, but Tampa Bay is emerging here as they've been a strong team in the NFC South here for a while with all those division titles, and they always do end up a little bit short. But I don't know if there's any or many shortcomings here, other than a little bit of injury note. So I think that's probably why we've seen maybe just a little bit of move right in the game here so far, up to 3.5 because of the injury situation here with Tampa Bay. We saw Mike Evans kind of leave that game. Last week on the nationally televised game, having to walk off there. So he's out indefinitely with a hamstring injury. So that definitely hurts them here a little bit. They've also had some tackle woes, but I think they're both Heck and Wirfs are expected to be in here, and going to get Chris Godwin in here, and that's going to be important here for Tampa Bay. I mean, this is going to be feels more like a slugfest to me, quite frankly, here in this one with the Eagles and the Buccaneers. That's a high total for two teams that, have real strong run defenses. Are these the top two run defenses, in your opinion, in the NFL so far? They've got to put them in the top five. Here. And hey, Tampa Bay does some other things well too. So does Philly defensively. And this is still, I think there's a lot of games here with 45, 48, 47 in there, but there's still, I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, you got Baker in here, and although Baker this week did have an injury designation, a bicep injury here that kind of kept him on the injury list here this week, but we expect Baker in there for sure today. So let's see what you guys think of this one with Philadelphia and Tampa Bay here in the big game. Both teams are 3-0. I mean, come on, this is a NFC playoff preview, maybe you can call it. The Eagles beat Dallas 24-20. They beat the Chiefs 20-17. They beat the Rams 33-26. I know we're laughing a little bit still at Dallas, but it's a pretty tough schedule to go 3-0 on for the champs. Philly blocked a couple of field goals, of course, through that crazy play against the Rams to get the money last week. And how can you forget that, right? The Eagles are 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games as a road favorite. They're also 23-16 in their last 39 against the spread, coming in off of a win. So far, the NFC East have gone 3-1 against non-division foes so far, and Tampa Bay, they come in 3-0, and man, they keep their fans on the edge of their seats with 3 last-minute wins. Hey, that's the way they like to do it in Tampa Bay. It feels like they won by 3, they won by 1, they won by 2. This game's going to be close, you know that. Tampa Bay, though, just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games as a home underdog, believe it or not. And the Bucks have, I mentioned that rushing defense. No team has 100 yards yet against Tampa Bay. They've held their opponents to 99, 84, and 69 yards. And the Eagles, I don't know if they really possess that outstanding running game at this time. They do everything well, if you know what I mean. The Bucks are 4-7 against the spread their last 11 games, coming in off of a win. The Bucks, I mentioned those close finishes. They're the I know they're the first team in 55 years to start the season 3-0 with all 3 wins coming on last-minute touchdowns. So this team has the clutch gene maybe here, especially in a game against the Phillies where Tampa Bay, semi-occasional opponents, right? They've met each other a bit. Tampa Bay's won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these two teams, and the Eagles have dropped 4 of the last 5 trips here into Tampa Bay. 3 of the last 4 meetings between these two teams have gone under. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay with that hook. Oh, you'd like to have Mike Evans in there, and I don't know if it's a deal breaker necessarily, but come on. Right now, they have a number 1 receiver. Now, we'll see against Philadelphia if he can fulfill that as a number 1 wide receiver. Emeka Ibuka, he did leave the game, remember, temporarily, but still has been outstanding so far this season. And I say Phillies, run defense against wide receivers. Not so much so far. Phillies had a little bit of trouble containing wide receivers. I mean, Puka Nakua buried him last week, didn't he? Burned him for over 100 yards, and Puka should have a pretty strong performance, I would think, in this game. And Godwin, hopefully he does shake that tag and finally get in there. We expect him to play. Could have a snap count in this one, but the fact that they need him, you're probably going to maximize Godwin here a little bit this week if he's ready to go because of the absence here of Evans. And as far as Sterling Shepard is concerned, I trust Shepard more at home right now than I do on the road. So I think for Philly's passing game, I think Brown looks good, but again, the Bucks could be getting to Jalen Hurts and making him rush a little bit here. And I have a feeling this one's going to be kind of rough. It's going to feel like a division game, I think. So I'm going to take the Bucks here plus 3.5 for sure. This seems like a pretty awesome matchup. Look, the Eagles, they might be number one still in the league. I'm not going to debate that, but you still, every time you're going to trust the Bucks a little bit. You're going to have Baker. You might get in. You might be down. You might be down 10. Late in the game, and then Baker gets it done. I don't know if it will be, but I want to say hello to Antoine Crenshaw in the chat. Thank you, Antoine. He says Eagles or Rams cover. He's going to go with one of those teams, it sounds like, here today. And man, that Rams game is going to be good too. We'll talk about it in just a moment. All right, I'll take the Bucks in this one. All right, the New Orleans Saints are going to take on the Buffalo Bills here. You got one team is 3-0, and the other one's 0-3. I'm not saying the Saints are going to do anything to salvage this season. Hopefully they can at least not have a dreadful season here right now. They're getting 2 touchdowns at the Bills, and the Bills can't do this forever, can they? The one thing about the Saints that I like, I mean, other than the fact that Rattler has never won in the NFL, but gosh, I like the receivers on the Saints. I mean, I'm totally biased on these guys, but Olave and Shaheed, maybe if they had a better quarterback, it could be good. Against the Buffalo Bills, you can pass the football. I mean, look, Buffalo's been very, very strong, but they've been strong offensively more, it feels like, than defensively right now. Buffalo, yeah, they're a little bit shaky, I'd say, in the secondary and also pressuring the quarterback a little bit. This game has moved here from as high as 16.5 down to 14.5. There weren't too many 16.5s out there, but in general, I think the books open them a little bit higher, maybe 15.5, 16. So the move's been on the Saints. Anytime you grab a couple of touchdowns here, maybe against a letdown spot, right? Especially when you talk about what the Bills have accomplished so far with their 3-0 start. I mean, they're looking great. They won their first 3 games. They've scored an average of 34 points, 33 point whatever so far in those 3 games. So in the last 3+ seasons, kind of during this Bills championship push, if you will, trying to get there, 3-7-1 against the spread as double-digit favorites. So Buffalo held their last 2 opponents to just 154 and 276 total yards so far. The Bills are 21-17 against the spread as a home favorite, but mostly interested in this, how they can handle this big number, it feels like to me. The Bills are 17-10 in their last 27 against the spread against NFC opponents. They're also 10-6 against the spread in their last 16, coming in off of a win. Now this is an interconference series, if you will, so they don't meet too often. I will note that the Saints have actually won and covered, I believe, all 6 straight in this series. The Saints won their last 3 trips into Buffalo, but that's spread out over the last more than a decade. So they did win those, however. See what you want to do here with this one with the Saints. taking on the Bills here on Sunday. The Saints having their woes. They still dropped 7 straight now, dating back to last season, just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 overall. Buffalo's covered 12 of their last 18 games overall. They've also gone over in 4 of their last 5, dating back to last season. The Saints have gone under in 6 of their last 9, dating back to last season as well. So it's just a matter of, whether or not the Bills maybe have the gas pedal down all the way here on this one. It feels like a kind of a soft spot, actually, and it might be hard to want to recommend taking the New Orleans Saints here. I don't really believe in them. I just like this passing game. I like this passing game a lot tomorrow, and I think they might be able to trade a little bit here. Still a pretty big number at 48. But 48 there would suggest, right, that the Saints in this game, I guess, what would it be? 31-17, right? I mean, I can figure that out just by looking at it. 14.5, 48. That'd be 31-17 there. So I think the Saints might be able to get at least the 2 touchdowns. Could they get a third with this passing offense here? Look, Rattlers, hey, it's almost like a free roll for Rattler, right? Okay, I get it. You've never won a game in the NFL. You're 0-9 as a starting quarterback. If anything, I'm like, hey, I got nothing to lose, right? Saints have lost so far in their 3 games 20-13, 26-21, and 44-13. So they would have covered this kind of spread in 2 of those. They're just 12 of 36 on third down so far. If the Saints can not get off to such a poor start, they might have a better chance. They've been outscored in the first half so far, 71-23. That's where they're getting caught here right now. Now, the Saints are 18-9 against the spread in their last 27 as a road underdog. That's about a 7-year sample size. So, about nearly 4 times, half of their road schedule. They're road underdogs for sure. So that's pretty good. 67% over the last 7 years or so here right now. And we'll see. I mean, if you combine Kellen Moore and and Spencer Rattler, you got a lot of losses here so far in the NFL between these guys. And the Saints are just 7-14 against the spread. Their last 21 coming in off of a loss. NFC South so far, just 3-5 in non-division games coming into this one. So I'm going to end up on the under here with the Saints and the Bills at 48. Here, give me the under here on Night Moves. Hey, you're welcome to submit your picks in the chat as well. And Mr. Weskers is with me. He says just a few too many points. And I probably would be on it too if we could get back to that 16.5. But hey, you got to take it one way or the other. I'd prefer the Saints' chances to hang in there with maybe a disinterested Buffalo team. Not that teams are ever going to take a game off or anything, but this is the NFL after all. And just one small respite during the game can mean the difference in that extra possession touchdown. Okay. They all can't be beauties here on Sunday. How about the Panthers? Taking on the Pats here in Foxborough, New England, a 5.5 point. Well, I guess, when you got a team like New England, what are they, playoff bound? They're not that much. They're not. The Panthers were. We know the Panthers are struggling for sure, but the Patriots are no great shakes for sure. The Panthers lost their 2 road games by less than 5.5 against teams that aren't much better than the Patriots. They lost to Arizona 27-22 on the road. They lost to the Jaguars 26-22 on the road. So why couldn't the Panthers hang here against the Patriots in this one? The Patriots aren't doing anything special. Of course, they were scored just 13 and 14 points in a couple of losses. They did beat Miami 33-27, remember, in that wild one. But last week, the Patriots outgained the Steelers 369 to 203, but lost the game 21-14. So, what does that really say about their ability to even cover a number, right? They might still go out there and perform well, but maybe they have some little bit of red zone issues so far. The Patriots uh, failed to cover in 4 straight games as a home favorite. Also, New England so far, their rushing defense, like I said, pretty solid. I mean, most of these teams are only averaging 3.3 to 3.5 yards per carry, and that's the same for the Patriots' opponents. They've allowed 181 rushing yards so far on 65 rushes. That's pretty good for 3 games, I would think. Patriots are 10-16 against the spread, coming in off of a loss. For the Panthers here, they come in here 6-13 against the spread as a road underdog, and 7-14 against the spread against AFC competition. But again, I just kind of equate it to what I was saying about you saw what the Patriots have done so far in kind of this same role. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get that money, and then the Panthers are covering similar numbers to this as well. So, look, I know we all, think that Bryce Young can't handle it, and also Chuba Hubbard does have an injury designation, but as of yesterday, we saw an update. He's expected to play. That's good news for Carolina, and the other factor is new emerging star, and this is what's really helping, I think, a little bit. Now, granted, they had the one win, but Teteroa McMillan so far is a hot-looking rookie. I mean, this guy is now. I know the game last week, just 3 receptions, 48 yards on 8 targets, but just the way he goes up, gets that ball, I think we got a superstar actually on our hands in McMillan of the Panthers. We'll wait. I don't think his game against Arizona was a breakout. He did have 6 receptions for 100 yards, but they lost that one. And look, I was on Carolina last week in that 30-0 win. So I'm not expecting a complete turnaround here, but as long as Carolina can run the ball, and you can do that against New England, I think, with Hubbard and maybe with a little Rico Dowdle as well. And believe me, the Patriots can run the ball because Carolina can't stop anything on the run. So going to get some Ramondre for sure, but don't forget about Travion Henderson too. I mean, he's probably probably the better option of the two. If you see them, on those props, the thing is they're kind of a two-headed guy, a little bit with those two, with Stevenson and Henderson. But it does seem like Stevenson gets more attention from the public, maybe a little bit. So I'd kind of look maybe for Travion Henderson there. This is going to be a game of field goals. It feels like here. Give me the Panthers, though, to get it done. I'll take the Panthers in this one, plus 5.5 points. Hey, you can buy it up to 6. I think, don't buy points. Don't buy points. The NFL, these games are so close. As long as there's not an extra charge, I don't have any problem. Oh, hey, we're getting some great comments in here now with some picking up here. All right, Antoine there. Kurt, hello. Nice to see you. Thank you, Kurt, for coming in here. All right. Oh, we're continuing on here. And then we got news, of course, here with the Commanders taking on the Falcons here on Sunday. Yeah, still no Jaden Daniels so far, my man here for the Commanders in this one. But, I was, surprised. I was taken off guard a little bit last week by the play of Marcus Mariota. Did a great job. Now, I do feel like he's kind of the type that had come in and performed well in his first game and then start to go downhill. Probably one of those things where maybe a little film. I mean, you can always get film on Mariota, but not with the same team or whatever. But a great job by Mariota last week in that win over the Raiders. Hey, we were going against the Raiders there for sure. Bill Merritt Bill Merritt expected to be in this one here, despite an injury tag this week with a little bit of knee soreness. So we expect uh, Billy Merritt to be in there and toting the rock here. Look, he had that first good game against the Giants. Really didn't. And Green Bay game was a no-show for Merritt. He left the game, I believe, but did come back last week with a catch and 8 carries. So expect Bill Merritt to be in there and handle the rushing for Washington. But they also have Chris Rodriguez kind of stepped in there last week. Now, the guy for me for Washington today, hooking up with Mariota, is going to be probably Chris Moore. There's concerns, I think, with this Redskin. Got me with these Commanders on offense with the passing game. I think Debo, I don't know if it's a great matchup actually for Debo here going up against these Falcons. Now, the line is totally shifted. We're here on line moves. We're supposed to tell you these line moves. Washington opened as high as a 2.5. But we knew that Daniels was kind of going to miss this game. Falcons now 2-point favorite and the total 43. This has gone down here as well in this matchup. Now, for the Falcons, Penix, he looks the part out there. And look, he's got Darnell Mooney, who definitely can get something done here, but how much can they really get done? They're going to want to go to Kyle Pitts here, it feels like today, if you're the Falcons here. And maybe, just maybe, for the Commanders, you're 2-1 right now. Falcons come in 1-2, and they're a slight favorite. I'm not ready to bury the Commanders here. I believe they'll get Jaden Daniels back and be able to probably stay above 500 here this season. I know it could be a little bit rugged there in the division there with the Eagles here, but we'll see. When you're playing the Giants, you're playing the Cowboys, you can still be competitive, maybe get those games here. But let's take a look at what we've got coming in with these two, with the Commanders here on the road. Commanders here right now are 6-4 in their last. Let's see here. Let me get this right. 7-5 against the spread in their last 12, coming in off of a win. Of course, for Mariota, a bit of a homecoming. He's with Atlanta there for quite a while. Basically was a starting quarterback just 3 years ago for the Falcons. Started nearly all the games, but Washington lost 27-18 on the road against Green Bay. Remember, they were kind of in that game for sure, but I think here against the Falcons, that line move might be telling you the story a little bit. Coming in. Still going to be tough for the Commanders here. The Falcons, they're not necessarily a dramatically improved team, but I think everyone's kind of feeling like they're continuing to graduate a little bit, getting a little bit better here. They're 1-2, but they won the stats all 3 games. They've outgained their foes by an average of over 100 yards per game so far. That's big in my book. They held their opponents also to just an average here of I believe 200. Let me get it right here. 200. They held their opponents to 260, 198, and 224 yards. That is excellent, actually. Here, Penix comes in to this one. Look, he's getting better. Still making some almost game mistakes that are almost costing the Falcons. He's got to be careful. But when you got Mooney and also Ray McLeod, I mean, when are we going to get Ray? He looked good in that first game, but I don't know. I mean, he should have a great matchup here, actually. Penix has to get Ray McLeod certainly involved here. So Falcons, with kicking issues. Romo, he made a bunch of kicks and then he, missed some poorly here, but he's going to be the kicker here in this one, as they obviously have moved on from wrong way coup. But look, he made them all there last week, right? Against the Falcons, but then last week against the Falcons. Let me make sure I get it right here. against in the Vikings game, and then last week against the Panthers, he was missing them. You'll see that shank and it like whoop, right up through and fading to the right. Those are the kickers. You're like, no, this is not what I'll take the guy with the end over end that misses it by that much every time compared to the whoops, there it goes off 10 yards to the 10 feet to the right, maybe, but still, you know what I mean. So I think Kyle Pitts is the man to have a pretty strong game here. Mariota, amazing that he's still got the legs that he does. That's where Atlanta has to be major concern is with Mariota's wheels is what it feels like. So look, this total's gone down, but I like it under here at 43. Atlanta's gone under in 9 of their last 12. They've gone under in 5 of their last 6 at home, dating back to last year. You got Mariota. He's not never going to light you up, I don't think, here, especially with this. This receiving core, like I said, Debo. Hey, I love Debo. It looks like he's still got it, but I think this is a tough matchup for Debo. And after that, what are you going to do? You got Luke McCaffrey. Yeah, he's hit or miss right now. Chris Moore. This is who they've got. Zach Ertz. This is going to be a great spot for Zach Ertz. Atlanta does very, very well against tight ends. They're one of the best teams at defending tight ends. So Washington, not so much. Zach Ertz can have a good game as long as Penix can get it to him in space. All right, I'm going under here with Washington and Atlanta. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here. And let's see. Okay, Antoine says a line flipped. Mr. Wesker says heavy action here on Atlanta. Oh, man, I don't want to be square here, but it does feel like 4 out of every 5 tickets. And I'm a tickets guy. That old argument, you see some of the commentators like myself explaining to you the tickets and the money. I don't really look at the money. I look at the tickets. That's what I look at. I look at the tickets. Remember, a lot of in today's age, people are limited, right? So they got to get down. They get down on their tickets a little bit. And when the money comes, sometimes they have to get down, right? And then wait again and get down and wait again and get down. I like tickets over tie game here in this rugby playoff game with just minutes remaining. Exciting. All right. Oh, Kurt's going over in this one. Oh, no, Kurt. That's all right. It is 43. You're getting the best of the line. I'm not. Cinna Figure It Out has figured it out to move on over here and find me on Night Moves. Hi, Cinna. Nice to see you. Good to see you there. And Kurt says, both teams are softer than Charmin, and could we see Kirk Cousins get in there? But what team, Kurt? He might get traded at halftime over the other side and come in or something. I don't know. I think we're committed to Penix. I don't think the Commanders have enough defense, maybe to throw a curve in there in this one. And let's see here. Cinna figure it out. Jags, Rams, Reds, money line, Marlins, money line, Dodgers, money line. Yep. Nice to see you. Thank you, Cinna. Yeah, you know what? Hey, this is more my time. Everybody knows. They say, Ramon, when do you sleep? Hey, when I'm not on these shows. All right, give me the under in that one. Let's move on to the Browns and the Lions here. This should be a better game than it looks on paper, right? Look, it's been rough. We all want to make fun of the Browns here. This isn't a terrible matchup, actually. When are the Browns going to come around is what I want to say and be a little bit better than they are so far. And they have a win. Come on. They're taking on the powerful Lions here, but you know what the Browns do? They stuff you on the run. Come on, they're going to stuff Montgomery Gibbs in this one. This is where they really do have. It might be the best defense. I know the Packers' defenses look really good as well, and yeah, there's a little bit. They do have some problems covering some guys here. I think elite receivers might have a big game. Antoine St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God. Could have a good game and a good matchup for sure, and even Jamison Williams as well. But look, Williams has been have had two subpar games so far this season. And when are we going to see? I thought T-Slaw was going to be, kind of a guy to emerge here with the Lions because of the other weapons around, and he looks so good in preseason, but hasn't really happened just yet. Now, for Joe Flacco, look, the Lions have big problems. They have trouble covering guys. You know that you've seen it. This Lions team is powerful, and it's kind of hard to come in here and sell you on the Browns. But come on, Flacco, give him just a little bit of time, and he can get. Look, the Lions were getting at it. There's no doubt that the Lions were getting at it against the Ravens and made life miserable there for Jackson. But you know what? This Flacco, with just a little bit of time, he still had. Now, look, if they do get to him, it might be a problem because we know Flacco can't get out of his own way. But I think when you got Judy, and not only that, Cedric Tillman. I mean, come on, Ced. We're waiting for you here a little bit. He was full practice on Friday here right now. Look, the first game was good for Ced, and then second game not as much. Last game not as much. But I think that's a good combo, actually. I don't want to overlook these guys really here in this matchup. I'm going with the Browns plus 10 in the game. I don't mind. These Lions, it's going to be a great season here, but it's probably gone a little too much with Flacco in there can get it done. I know the Lions really took that game seriously there against the Ravens, and what a night they had, right? But all right, let me take a look at some of the numbers here. Maybe I can curate a story here about the Browns here finding a way to win this, to at least cover here in this one against the Lions here. Look at me. I'm on YouTube taking the Cleveland Browns here. Yes, they were only averaging about 15 points a game so far this season. They kind of look bad in the turnover department as well, and they're not in a good role. They're 8-16. Their last 24 games against the spread as a road underdog. I don't want to say it anymore because the numbers really aren't that good. And the Lions have scored 90 points in their last two games. So, but they've given up some points too. They've given up so far 78 points in the 3 games here, and Campbell, you can roll off all the stats you want here. Detroit will have all the spread stats in this game for sure. So, Browns defensive coordinator Schwartz, remember, he was a long time Detroit assistant for 4 or 5 seasons several years ago. But let me see if you guys have anything in this one with the Browns and the Lions. And I think I've already made my call. I want to take 10 points. I can't help myself, even though the Browns are just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. They can't win. Detroit 5-2 against the spread in their last 7. Detroit's gone over in 7 of their last 9 games. Cleveland's gone under in 6 of their last 8 games coming in, but man, I just can't help myself for an NFL game with 10 points when I feel like Flacco can have a decent passing game here against these guys, especially with Tillman back in the lineup. Brisbane just won this game dramatically here on the last second of the game to win this playoff game here in NRL. Wow. So, okay, I think I'm good to go here in this one. I'm going to take Cleveland still here and hope for improvement off of what's been a pretty woeful situation here so far for Cleveland. But, hey, in the NFL, I can't pass up taking some big points here, and I'm going to take the Browns plus 10. And Antoine Browns with Mr. Westers and I will be on the Browns. But Antoine says he likes the Lions and over to crush it here. And Kurt says maybe the Browns under in their team total. Not very much hope there. And all right, appreciate it. Still cruising along here with our early slate of games. And next up, we got a real thriller here. But it is a division matchup, and the Texans take on the Titans here in NRG Stadium. The Texans are favored by 7, and the total 39. Coming into this one, and well, look, so far, both teams looking for their first win. I get it; it's going to be ugly here, but uh, can the Texans really lay it out here right now and cover a game by a touchdown here over the Titans? um, even give, I mean, they look so dismal here. The Texans,
Final.
frustrating to watch these guys. I really am a big, I really am a pretty big fan of CJ Stroud, but I don't know. This isn't probably that great of a matchup. What the Houston Texans need to do is run the football against the Titans. It's not your old Titans. They give up the run big time here right now. So, with Nick Chubb here, should be able to have a pretty strong game like he did against Tampa Bay. Now, last week, only 38 yards on the ground, but I would think with Chubb, little Woody Marks in there too. He's been okay in a couple of games, picking up some extra yardage. That's what Houston needs to do is run the ball. Tennessee might have their work cut out for them for sure offensively with Cam Ward. I'm trying to sell you on him a little bit here, but it hasn't been that great for Ward so far. And with these Titans receivers here, uh, with Ridley and Iomenor so far. Tyler Lockett's really a no-show. They've got to get it to Chigo Konkwu. Okonkwo is the man, really. If they could just get it to him here a little bit, that's the man that you got to hit right now. Now, Titans should have a pretty okay matchup defensively, it feels like. I think they can pressure Stroud here a little bit and shake it up. They got to make sure they can try to contain that running game because Houston can establish the run here, and I think that will help them. But I don't see any reason why this game's getting to 40 points tonight. But let's see what you think here in this one with the Texans taking on the Titans here in Houston. The Titans are just 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. Tennessee just 1-4 in their last 5 matchups with Houston overall. So that kind of helps a little bit when you got a little bit of familiarity, at least with your division rival coming in for the uh, Titans here. They're 3-0, 0-3, not only straight up but against the spread as well. They've lost by 8 points, 14 points, and 21 points. They only have 3 TDs all season. They do have 10 field goals, so they've scored on 13 of their 34 drives coming in. The Titans are making a little bit of move. Callahan says he's done calling the plays for the Titans, and they'll let the QB coach now call the plays. So try to mix it up here, try to find a little something that maybe works here. The Titans have been outgained by 180, and 80 yards in their 3 games so far. They're also just 1-5 against the spread their last 6 division games coming in, and just 3-11 against the spread their last 14 games as a dog. Meanwhile, the Texans have lost their games so far by 5 points, 1 point, and 7 points. It'll be tough enough to win this game, much less cover by a touchdown. But against this team, maybe they can. Unfortunately, the Texans are just 6-15 against the spread. Their last 21 as a home favorite, 2-7 against the spread. Their last 9 as division home teams. So the Texans have won 5 of their last 7 in the series, but Tennessee has won 5 of their last 6 visits here into Houston. These 2 teams have gone under in 5 of their last 7 games overall in the series. So I'm going to go under 39 points here with the Titans and the Texans here on Sunday. And we're on night moves. All right, Antoine says this game's pretty ugly. He'll take the Texans here. And Kurt said last year Tennessee played Houston. He took Tennessee money line. Okay, today's game he's going to go opposite and go Houston -7. They played twice last year. Don't forget, we got a division game here with uh, Texans and the Titans. So far in the NFL, the division uh, home teams are 8-11 in division games. All right, and now next, I've got to go to my big game of the day here. How about it? The Chargers are on the road taking on the Giants. The Chargers are 3-0. They haven't been 4-0 since 2002. So, Chargers pretty big favorite here. We know the storyline with Jackson Dart getting the start here for the Giants. You know, I get it. You know, you've got to go away from Russell Wilson here, but these are the Giants, right? I mean, if you look at it, look, um, when Daniel Jones was there. Not saying that whatever's going on right now, that great start that he's off to in Indianapolis, but you know what? After a while, you got to start to point at yourself in the mirror a little bit, right? And say whose fault is it? And maybe if you're the New York Giants, that's whose fault it is. So can Jackson Dart really get in there? You know, rookie quarter. You go through all this rookie quarterback stats and what it means to play a rookie quarter, especially coming in here now, middle, not middle of the season, early in the season when you're 0-3 and quite frankly, looking like one of the worst teams in the league right now. The Chargers, they're absolutely doing a bang up job on opposing passing games so far. This is going to be very, very difficult for Jackson Dart, even with Malik Neighbors, because the Chargers, this is kind of where they're excelling here right now. Now, look, the funny thing is the Giants, between Neighbors, Slayton, and Wandale, you'd think these guys could handle it. And maybe in some matchups they would, but I don't think it's a great matchup at all here for the Giants. And also, I think they got a backup kicker in here. They finally put Gano on the injured list. What they were doing last week with the, bringing in the punter to kick. So they're going to have Jude Mikatamni going as their kicker here this week. I think they also brung in Young Wei Koo here, but the Giants are just a mess. They can't stop the run, so I think we're going to see probably the best game from Omarion Hampton, and that's after he had a big game last week against Denver with 129 total yards there, 19 carries, 6 receptions. Hampton was the man, and against this Giants team, the Chargers can have their way. It's going to be all Hampton here. Yeah, they got Hassan Haskins, but he'll be kind of the number 2 guy here, it feels like, this week. But, man, it's going to be all about this Chargers running game. It feels like it might make it a little bit tough to try to get the number here, but I'm going with the Chargers in this one. They should stomp the Giants. I don't know if they're a team that will kind of be a let-up team when you have a coach like Jim Harbaugh here. And I've been on the Chargers here this season for sure. Yeah, that's my team, but I'm pretty realistic in years past too. And I really like what I see, and I know everyone is impressed so far by the Chargers. Some people are starting to rate them a little bit maybe too high right now, but let's just see how they do and how they fare in the regular season. And you know what? The fans, they might start showing up. They might start supporting this team when they realize the culture that they're starting. It's not the Chargers quite there of old, but I'm probably going to be on them here. Let's go through some of the numbers and then hear from our few guys in the chat here helping me along on night moves. The Chargers are 3-0. That's basically 6-0 when you've defeated teams within your division. They say a division win counts as 2 games pretty much when you beat your division opponents. They've held their last 2 opponents to about 240 yards each there. They're 10-3 in their last 13 games as a road favorite. Now, granted, they haven't been road favorites too often, but under Harbaugh, the Chargers are 8-3 right now against the spread when coming in off of a win. They've been terrific on third down, nearly 48% on conversions so far this season. Give the Giants, they lost 40-37, obviously, in that thriller, but they were on the road there. They lost their home opener to Kansas City. That was kind of a dud, but man, with Dart in here, this is going to be a tough situation here, I would think, coming into this one for the Giants under Dable. They are 9-6 in non-conference games, but I'm going to take the Chargers in a blowout here, actually, on Sunday. Public Enemies here. Hi, Public Enemy. Nice to see you in the chat. Yep, we found a new time slot. Here we are. We're starting to pick up some momentum. We're on our first week of the show here on Night Moves. So, we're only going to grow it here and try to give you a nighttime show, Ramon style, on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. Let's see. Mr. Wesker says it's a strange line. What should it be, brother? What do you think it should be? Should it be a bigger line for the Chargers, or would it be closer? I don't know. Antoine likes Chargers and under. Kurt says take the Chargers. And that's my point, I think, Kurt. If you've got Jameis Winston, I mean, okay, you are 0-3, right? But look, when you're 0-3, right, my goal if I'm 0-3 is I've got to salvage the season. I'm not ready to play for next year for the next, 14 weeks, right? I'm ready to play and try it right now. Let me give it one last go. Let me put Jameis in there and see if we can't do so, especially at home. Why would you do that? And, if you're throwing Dart out there, you're basically saying we are playing for the future now. Now, hey, we're all going to be wrong, or I'm sure there's some Dart supporters out there that say this guy is the man. But even if he is, he's on the Giants, and it's already proven that the Giants just aren't going to get it done here with any quarterback right now. I just can't find the solution. So, all right. I guess maybe you look at it and you're like, hey, we can't do it with Russell Wilson. How are we going to do it with Jameis Winston, right? Mr. Wesker says, pick up pick up some of these non-league wins. That'll really help the Chargers. Remember, they're already 3-0 in the division, right? So that's huge. All right. And Goon Collector said, yeah, we had Ole Miss. How about it? Ole Miss there yesterday. Thank you. Good night, Goon. Have a great NFL Sunday. That's it for the early games. We've got more to come here on Night Moves as we get to the afternoon tilts in the National Football League. Thank you for joining me here on the show. Don't know if I had much more for you on that Chargers game. I know we got out of there pretty quick, but Chargers are 6-1 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. They've also covered 5 straight against the Giants, but remember, it is a non-conference game. The Giants have lost 14 of their last 15 games overall. Also, Chargers have gone over in 6 of their last 8. All right, let's get into afternoon action here right now with the Jaguars on the road, taking on the 49ers here. And, well, they told me the Jaguars are supposed to be one of the most improved offenses, one of the most improved teams. And, hey, so far, so good. It looks like it's worked out. Now, they did get the win only 17-10 last week against Houston. It was starting to look a little bit clumpy there again, but maybe Houston had a little strength on defense in that one, obviously, with the 17-10 game. But Jacksonville, they should be able to run the ball here against the 49ers. Now, they say they're moving away from Travis Etienne here, but seems to me like Liam Cohen would rather have Travis Etienne in there. Granted, Tootin, everyone's so stoked with this guy, and he's a great option for sure. Bashul Tootin does look good. He was banged up, so that kind of put the focus back on Etienne a little bit. I mean, this combo that the Jaguars have, it looks pretty lethal to me because Tootin looks terrific in there right now. Now, will be difficult for Lawrence. I don't expect a great passing day here for Lawrence against the 49ers. I think that's kind of where they'll may run amok here offensively, but getting a 3.5, the line move, the night move here, or this week's move has been on the Jaguars. They were as high as 4.5 in some openers, maybe 4 or 3.5. Maybe it hasn't moved that much, but the total here is up to 46.5 here. And like I said, I think the Jaguars supposed to have an improved offense, and I think, quite frankly, they do. I think the 49ers are, probably a boring offense right now here at this point. Look, if they keep uh, riding McCaffrey here, there's no doubt. I mean, no one's stopping him here. It feels like at this point. We hope he stays healthy, but how much use can you really get out of this guy, man? I mean, I'd be asking for overtime pay right now, but it's been terrific every game so far. Really dominating here in the numbers. Last game had another strong day, especially catching the ball. Man, that's the key. McCaffrey's getting just as many as he always does, but just as many yards out of the backfield as he is in his rushing here. And look, I don't want to go beyond them because look, they got Brian Robinson, they got Garendo, but you're just relying here a lot on McCaffrey, and I don't want it to backfire. The other thing is the Niners have some injured wide receivers here right now. Jawan Jennings has been questionable here pretty much this week with ankle and shoulder injuries right now, and Pearsall also here with a knee injury, questionable to play, I believe. Let me check the status here right now and see if we've had uh, any upgrade right now, but feels to me like the Niners are coming in, battling these injuries. We know that Purdy's been hurt, and we've had to wait for days just to get him uh, in there. I think they announced on Thursday or Friday that he would be in there with that toe problem. But yep, Pearsall, Jennings, they're on the list here for sure. And not only that, Jordan Watkins is out of this game. So I think there's issues here actually for the Niners coming into this game. And it is a struggle sometimes when you're betting on Jacksonville. And uh, even then they get the lead, right? It feels like never a certainty here. But I'm going to try the Jags in this one at plus 3.5. I do love I like the offensive personnel for sure, especially like I said, get that running game going, establish the run here. If Jennings is in there, he could have a big game for sure. And if not, you're going to be relying on some other guys, Kendrick Bourne in there. Also Demarcus Robinson. He looked pretty good. They said in practice this week, and for MVS in there. Look, he's been kind of a no-show so far, but they might need him tomorrow, and that's probably not good news here. And what's going on with the tight ends right here with San Francisco? Right, I know. With Luke Farrell in there and with Jake Tongas. That's will have to be their focus right now with this current situation. So, all right, gang. Let me hear from you guys in the chat a little bit here with if you want to comment on Jacksonville up against the 49ers. I think I've already made my play here, and I'm not even done with our preview. But Jacksonville so far, they are 7-4 against the spread, and their last 11 against non-conference competition. 49ers here, they've won those first 3 games by 1 point, 4 points, and 5 points. So Mac Jones did a pretty good job. Back to some people say he should get the job here, but we're going to go back to Purdy here. But Purdy has won practically 65% of his starts. Mac Jones, not so much. First 3 games, the Niners are allowing just 265 yards per game so far. Niners are, however, just 7-12 against the spread when coming in off of a win. They're also just 5-10 against the spread against AFC opponents. So I'm going to take Jacksonville here in this one. getting 3.5 points against San Francisco. Jacksonville has covered 4 of their last 5 games overall. They've failed to cover 6 straight against the 49ers, but that goes back about nearly 15 years. Niners, meanwhile, still just 3-9 against the spread in their last 12 games overall, 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games overall. So, all right, chat picking up here. Maybe we'll get a show like I like to do where we go through all that chat. That's what we're trying to recreate here, a little bit on the night side. All right, Kurt says, hey, they know Mac Jones, but they won't get a look at him, I guess, here this week. Antoine says Jaguars and cover. And let's see, Mr. Wesker said it looks like he's not really believing in what the 49ers are doing here. He likes Jacksonville here, it looks like, today. And, the defense has been pretty good, too. I want to say you guys are making me throw up the upset alert here. We need a graphic. Yeah, Purdy will be back, Antoine. Already announced, but toe injury, you're just one step away from kicking that toe here. They shouldn't rush Purdy back if it was really that big a deal that they had to wait so close to game time. Maybe Purdy was pushing to get back in, but Jones was just fine. I don't, sure, Purdy, you're going to hold him a little bit higher than Jones here at this point. But if you really put Jones in with the 49ers, and he kind of looked like a Brock Purdy guy who just needed a little bit more work to be Brock Purdy, really. And I think that's what the Niners do. I think they're kind of our system quarterback. Nobody's saying that Purdy. Hey, look, I've been following Purdy a long time. I saw him play a high school game at Perry High, but all right. And the Kurt says maybe even if Joe Montana's in, he's on Jacksonville here. All right. And Antoine says Pearsall will be in that game. I think he's saying good to know. All right. I'll take Jacksonville, though, here. All right. Hey, who would have thought that the Colts and the Rams were going to be a huge game here on Sunday, and the Colts would be the 3-0 team compared to the Rams at 2-1, but the Rams have looked pretty awesome too. Not missing a beat here, maybe, if you want to look at it that way right now. Yeah, they have a loss. I get that. And look, it wasn't a horrible loss, obviously. We're all of us Rams backers from last week are still mad about the play. Felt like we got jobbed on picking the right side, right? But you know what? Whatever happens in the end, that's a final. And hey, the Eagles got the money. So Colts come in here 3.5-point dog against the Rams in this one. Total's up to 49.5. Really? Okay, no, I get it, but you're not going to sell me on that. Now, look, Jonathan Taylor's been the man so far, but the Rams are great on run defense. I got to put them probably in the top 5, maybe even top 3 run defenses here right now. So still, Taylor's been so awesome, especially over the last 2 games. You got to figure they're going to, even with the Rams stiff on defense against the run, they're still going to try to run with Taylor. Now, Daniel Jones, this isn't an awful matchup for him, especially if you look at how Michael Pittman Jr. has been looking in that last game and the first game as well. Now, he struggled a little bit against Denver, but Pittman really feels like he's on top of his game. Now, for Josh Downs, he had to kind of come back from injury there, and we'll see. But I think a better option here is going to be a Donnie Mitchell. Here possibly. He hasn't really checked in here yet this season, but just with a couple of receptions in those first 2 games. But we'll see. He could become a better option in this game than Downs here for the Rams. I'm kind of neutral on them here this week. Obviously, Nakua has been impossible to cover no matter what team, but Look, I don't think the Colts have been terrible here. Obviously not defensively with their great start here to the season at 3-0. I think the key there, though, you got Tyler Higbee for the Rams, questionable, but it looks like he's going to play. Now, Higbee could have a big game. The Colts have had a little bit of trouble covering tight ends so far this season. But with the Rams laying 3.5, yes, maybe the Colts have overshot their expectations here so far, but can't argue with this offense right now, scoring over 35 points, 34.7 points per game so far this season. They still have only punted once. What a great job, right? You go into work every day and you only had to work one day pretty much. We don't need you. Go home. Indy's outgained their first three opponents so far this season by an average, I believe, of about 130 yards so far. And Jones, what can you say? It's been a good situation, right? Indiana Jones. How do you not like that? Colts are just 5-10 against the spread. Their last 15 against NFC opponents, but Steichen's brought a new attitude and a new focus to the Colts here right now, and they have their man obviously in Daniel Jones here at this point. Nothing stopping DJ here. Maybe in this game, the Rams defense could. Like I said, I think the Rams D and it's going to be tough. That's why I was surprised that this total's actually gone up. Colts are playing some surprising D for sure, and I get it. Where I'm going to be on a little bit of a fast track here in this one, but these might be two good teams too. So we'll see if they're ready to play some defense in a non-conference game. Let's hear what you guys maybe have to say in the chat about this one right now. The Rams, they had not only that one big field goal blocked, they had two field goals blocked in that game last week. Rams outgained the Eagles big time, but they just couldn't finish in the red zone. They were having problems. Out of those 4 red zone drives, they only ended up with 13 points. So Rams are 8-13 against the spread in their last 21 games as a home favorite, but they are 8-3 against the spread, last 11 against AFC competition. So, all right. Last time these teams met here in LA, it was McVay's first game as a head coach. They won 46-9 over the Colts, and they might have them here, but I got to go under in this one at I'll call it 49. But let me see, are there really 49.5s out there right now? This game opened around 47 or so, maybe even 46.5. Yeah, 49.5 here right now, and maybe it will go through the roof, but I'm gonna go under. All right, let's see. We got Antoine says take the Rams. Kurt says take them on the money line, and Daniel Jones to throw a pick. Time's got to be up for Jones. Is this real? Like I said, look, it's funny, right? You leave the Giants, maybe you're a pretty good quarterback. Colts for Mr. Weskers. All right, we got a couple of more here on the afternoon slate. And it'll be the Bears coming into town, taking on the Raiders. Move's been on the Raiders here a little bit. Maybe it opened 1.5, and now we're looking at mostly 2s here. There's some 1.5s out there. One popular offshore book has it at a pick at minus $1.21 for the Raiders here in this one against the Bears. But come on, the Bears, please. Even the Raiders might be able to handle this one, I feel like, here on Sunday. Maybe you can sell me on it, but the Bears can't stop the run. Ashton Genty hasn't done anything yet. This should be a breakout game for Genty. He's been way under his expectations so far, but we're lifting those expectations. It feels like here on Sunday. I've got Genty to have his best game here as a pro going up against the Bears. Even Gino might be able to have some big-time success in this one with Jacoby Myers, but also Trey Tucker. I thought he looked strong, right? He had that monster game against Washington, 8 catches for 145 yards and the 3 touchdowns for Tucker. Watch out. I think Tucker has quickly played his way into all the Tucker's going to be pretty popular. His prices might even be a little bit too high, but that game put Tucker on the map. It felt like they're not only because of the performance that he had, but it was on the road. Yeah, they lost. I mean, they scored all three of their touchdowns. Remember the Commanders beat them up pretty good. But man, I got to think tomorrow the Raiders are probably going to be the team. You got DeAndre Swift. He's coming in here with a hip injury, so I'll check on his status real quick because the Bears are going to be in trouble. They're probably going to have enough trouble running the ball as is coming into this game. You got Swift. He is expected to play. That's obviously a good sign here. But the one thing the Raiders, I think, have done a pretty decent job on is corralling the backs a little bit. So I think that's going to be a big, big boon for them. And I'm kind of neutral on Williams here this week. I know we can always be kind of fading Caleb Williams, but look, DJ Moore, still, looks like a good target, but man, he always just ends up right around his numbers. He never really busts through. Roma Dunze, bolted out in that game against Detroit, really turned out to be the best game of his career. And then he was back down to earth a little bit. They're going to look to him, and I know he's going to be very, very popular this week in the props for sure for a Dunze, but I think the prices have probably gone a little bit too high on him because I think he's very, very popular right now. So I like the Raiders here in this one. I think they get the win. I think they get the cover here. This is a spot for me for the Raiders to pick up that much needed second win here. Both teams come in 1-2 right now, and I like the Raiders here in this one to get it done and cover the 1.5, cover the 2 here on Sunday. I like them over the Bears. Bears come in right now 7-12 in their last 19 in closely rated games. They're also 7-12 against the spread in their last 19, coming in off of a win. Raiders, yeah, they lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Commanders. I get all that. They haven't run the ball well at all, but I think this is the game for Genti to finally break through and at least have a decent game here in this one. So I got a few comments in the chat, but I'm taking the Raiders here on Night Moves. We're almost done with our football. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's see here. Mr. Weskers says, maybe with Ben Johnson, it's looking a lot better. It is looking a lot better here, maybe for the Bears, but maybe the personnel, they need to work it out here a little bit. I think the Raiders, what you got to figure with Max, with this defense. I feel like Williams will be forced to rush it out a little bit. Mr. Wesker saying, look at how deep that injury list really is for the Bears coming in. You got some key players out. Kyler Gordon, he's questionable here in this one. Colston Loveland at tight end, he's out right now. Darnell Wright is out off of the offensive line. TJ Edwards, the linebacker. Jarrett, the defensive lineman, out. Now they will have Jalen Jones in there. DeMarco Jackson will play, and Cole Kmet. That's big to have Kmet in there. Antoine likes the Raiders on the money line. Mr. Weskers says that D is no joke. Got to respect what Mr. Weskers is saying there. And Antoine, I agree. I at least want to go over on his run props, and maybe I'll ramp him up by a few yards. And Kurt says, man, look at that total. I mean, right? And here's the funny thing about it, right? It's actually gone up, right? Are we really going to see that type of production here? Great point, Kurt. Don't give away the premiums here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. All right. One more here, and it's a big one on Sunday afternoon. It's a late window feature here, or maybe the Colts and the Rams are, but here are the Ravens and the Chiefs for sure. Yes, even if both teams are 1-2 right now. A little bit of laughing here at these guys. Uh, Look, the Ravens. There's concerns. I don't know. We're not going to jump off the bandwagon here with the Ravens right now, but yeah, it looks a little bit sketchy here with the defense right now. We've never seen a Ravens defense like this, so you got to think they're going to be able to piece it up here a little bit, get the defense going eventually. You are the Ravens after all. They've given up 41 and 38 points in those two losses. Uh, Despite the fact, I mean, they've scored 111 points so far. So, look, nothing wrong, I guess, with this Ravens offense right now. And Baltimore's a terrific road favorite, 13-7 against the spread in their last 20. Also 20-7 against the spread in those closely rated games of 3 points or less. They are clutch. The Chiefs lost their two games to start the season, but they beat the Giants last week, 22-9. Chiefs have gone under in all three games, and they remember they used to be almost an automatic under at home. Remember when they had that streak? They still kind of do in a way, but remember they were on that streak of under. How many in a row did it get to? Or what was it? 13-14, 15-16. Just back to earlier last year, they had a few overs then, but still, they've always kind of been an under for sure, at home. So, uh, uh, Chiefs come in here right now with 14-23 record against the spread when coming in off of a win. They're pretty good on those closely rated games too. 10-7, their last 17 of spreads of 3 points or fewer. Don't forget the Chiefs they've had some meetings. These guys, right? Chiefs have won 6 of the last 7 between the teams overall. The Ravens are 0-3 and 1-2 against the spread. Their last 3 trips in here, 4 of the last 5 have gone over the total between these two teams. So let's see how you have it though with Baltimore and Kansas City. Baltimore's like I said, just 1-4 against the spread against Kansas City, but 6-3 against the spread their last 9 overall. Chiefs have covered just 2 of their last 7 overall coming in. Now, to be sure, Kansas City's still gone under right now in 8 of their last 12 dating back here, but for me, I got to go with the Chiefs in this one, plus the points. Both teams a little bit dysfunctional. I get it here right now. We know they'll bounce back, get it going here very, very soon. Here, one team's going to at least have a second win of the season coming into this one. Let me take a look at the personnel here, at least from my perspective in this game tonight between Baltimore and Kansas City. Not going to be too high on Derrick Henry, even though you don't want to ever fade this guy, right? That's the worst thing you can do. But Chiefs probably they're in the top 10 in run defense. Hasn't mattered, I guess, with Henry, so I'm not putting the fade on him, but Kansas City should be able to at least limit him here a little bit. Remember, Henry has had fumbleitis. I mean, I know everybody wants to go with him to fumble this week. I mean, it seems like you can do worse, do better than taking Derrick Henry to fumble. But to have 3 fumbles so far this season, when he only had 3 fumbles in the previous 2 years combined, feels like an outlier here. But when you want to hang on to the ball a little bit too, I think it feels like you want to hang on to the ball and make sure you don't fumble, and maybe sometimes that can limit your production just a little bit. Not going to fade Derrick Henry, even with, remember, he got bottled up by Cleveland, but like I said, I think Cleveland's got really good defense, no matter what you want to say about Cleveland. And Detroit, they still bottled them down. Remember, he still got a touchdown in that game. So, look, Kansas City is a decent, definitely, I think, against the run. I think for me, look, the Ravens will make it miserable probably for Mahomes. He's got to get it out quickly to Worthy, got to get it out to Brown. Worthy's back here this week, so that's big, right? He's missed basically hasn't done anything, right? We saw him leave that first game with that shoulder injury, so he's been cleared to play this week. That's a big upgrade for Kansas City right now, because Brown wasn't really really wasn't getting it done kind of as a number one guy. Juju, you're not going to trust him at all in this game. If anything, if you can find props on Juju, you got to go under on Juju in this one. But Worthy and Brown can have good games, I think, against Baltimore here. Other than that, I think that's what you're going to be left with. Kind of neutral on Kelsey here. Andrews can be okay, but I also think for Jackson and Flowers, what happened, right? We saw Flowers with that excellent game to start the season against Buffalo. He still was pretty good against Cleveland. Then last week, basically had 3 targets, 2 catches, and almost nothing against Detroit. So we'll see about that one. And, for all the talk about Andrews, he does seem to be back to being Mark Andrews a little bit, at least in that last game. He was a no-show in the first 2 weeks, really 2 of his worst performances in years against Buffalo and Cleveland. And then just when I wanted to fade him a little bit, he went out there and caught 6 passes. So, all right, I'm going to take the Chiefs here in this one against the Ravens here in the late afternoon window featured game on CBS. All right, let's see what we got here. And Pat, Kurt apologizes there for the Pat owns Lamar. Thank you guys, a great crew here, Mr. Weskers. Coming through. When does Mr. Wesker sleep? He sleeps less than I do. Kurt likes the over. He does like the over in this one. Maybe it will be crazy. I don't know. I have a feeling it might be clunky. Antoine likes the Chiefs money line. All right, one more here on Sunday night, and everyone's knows the storyline here when the Packers come to town or to take on the Cowboys with their superstar defensive threat in tow, and they're big favorites here in this one, and almost too big a favorite. Look, yeah, we've all got problems with the Cowboys. I know that for sure, but you know what? You're getting a touchdown at home and a Dallas team that, look, Green Bay, it's going to be a big harassment for sure for Dak to get anything going. But, man, you almost got to trust him somewhere in here, don't you? Meanwhile, for Green Bay, it's all systems go. It feels like I'm scared because it really does point to a Green Bay blowout here to a certain extent. Don't try to run against Dallas with Josh Jacobs. Look, you might have high expectations here, but Dallas is pretty stout. They might not be top 5 against the run, but they're definitely in the top, 8 or 9, maybe top 10, maybe close to top 5 against the run. Dallas here right now, and I think for Jordan Love, look, this is where Dallas is having big problems. Quarterbacks are just making mincemeat of them. And when you got, can we see Matthew Golden here with another big game after we were waiting in those first 2 games, but then he got off there with the 52 yards, 4 receptions. They also were running the ball with Golden a little bit too. Romeo Dobbs, he's never been that guy, but certainly got a good matchup here. The Packers really do have a good matchup. It's hard for me not to think that they can't put up a big number here against the Cowboys. Now, Packers like using their tight end with Tucker Kraft. He's looked pretty good so far, but the Cowboys do guard tight ends pretty well. But man, Love, this is about as good as a matchup as you can get, it feels like right now. Dallas made the move to trade Parsons, and I'm not saying it's backfired because you did what you had to do. That's what Jones did. He wasn't going to mess around anymore. He doesn't coddle to these guys anymore. It feels like he'll just trade you, but it feels like he just traded a good defense from Dallas to Green Bay. So, all right, for Dak, he definitely needs to get the ball to probably Jake Ferguson here is probably going to be his best option. Ferguson has been on fire over the last 2 weeks against the Giants and against the Bears. He had 13 receptions on 14 targets, did Ferguson in that game against Chicago. And he also had 9 receptions and 12 targets in the game against the Giants. I mean, these are off the charts numbers. You've got to think that especially against Green Bay, where they do not cover tight ends well. They're probably in the bottom third of the teams in covering tight ends. So I think that's where the Cowboys will look to get their damage done. And in the running game, too, with Javonte Williams here. Yeah, he had his kind of his worst game there against Chicago, but he was still very, very productive. Javonte Williams has been pretty good so far. I think, I don't want to say underrated here at this point, but when Dallas gets a back like this, they can become big stars without being big stars. I mean, I know that with Williams here, he's been kind of a guy that has, had his ups and downs so far in his career, but I think right now Williams is in position to keep on growing with the Cowboys. Okay, take a look at these here. Green Bay lost last week 13-10. They led that game, obviously, 10-0 late in the game. I thought they'd get a shutout win. In fact, I was on the air on, not on this show. It didn't start yet, right? But was on some shows saying, you know what, I think Cleveland's going to get shut out in this game by Green Bay. I think Green Bay could hold them to no touchdowns. And I thought it was going to happen. And then they end up losing that game 13-10. So Packers have been doing a pretty good job on the run so far, allowing just over 3.2 yards per carry to their opponents. Packers are a terrible road favorite, 4-12 in their last 16 against the spread on the road. For Dallas here right now, they've allowed over 890 yards over the last two games. Cowboys are just 3-6 against the spread as a home underdog. And like I said, just feels like they traded Parsons and they traded their defense. Packers own the Cowboys. They've won and covered 8 of the last 9 in this series overall. Packers have won and covered the last 4 trips here into Dallas. That is a big number here, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to lay it as my play. I kind of want to do it as a premium, but gosh, laying a touchdown on the road. Will we see that Dallas in the end is truly one of the worst teams in the league? You don't think that is ever going to be the case when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and they do have a win so far, but they are big dogs here. This spread opened as low as 4.5, and I'm even seeing some 7s here right now, even though it's juiced to Dallas. I gotta think the Cowboys get rocked here by Green Bay. Green Bay owns Dallas here. All right, a few more plays here right now, and Mr. Wester says he wants Jerry to get his revenge on Micah Parsons, right? Maybe Parsons was in the wrong there a little bit. Just get out there and play, right? You have a contract. Antoine says he's a Cowboys fan, and he'll take Dallas. I don't know, what does he mean there, Antoine? You have your doubts with your Cowboys long term this year, but you like them to cover this one? Is that what you're saying in that one? And Kurt, this is what I thought as well, Kurt, that the Packers will, they're good enough to be steaming here a little bit. And like I said, with them dominating Dallas like they do, I don't know if it'll be a 21-point victory, but it might be a 2-touchdown win. And hey, if you're right, I'll acknowledge it too. And why wouldn't it be? They might go on to beat them, because Cowboys are kind of a team that once they get decimated a little bit, right, feels like they're done ski. All right, I'm going to take Green Bay here on the road and lay those points. I don't want Dallas here, but I do want Javonte Williams, I think. Okay, great job, you guys. Thank you so much to the chat right there. We're going to go into Major League Baseball. We're not going to preview them all on the last day of the season on an NFL Sunday. We're going to preview 6 games, the 6 games that have some meaning, except, you know what, I don't even know on a couple of games even the major books haven't released the line yet on some of them. So we're going to have to kind of just piece it together. We'll make a few picks here for sure in these games, and also explain the scenarios here right now. We did already, but kind of put them in context here when we look at each individual game. So it'll be clear to everyone what is going on. Oh, let me get the graphics going. All right, Major League Baseball here on Sunday with the Orioles taking on the Yankees, and it's a big one for the Yankees. right now. The Yankees and their situation here, the Blue Jays and Yankees are tied. The Yankees will need to win, and the Blue Jays will need to lose. Simple as that. The Blue Jays have the head-to-head tiebreaker, so the Blue Jays only need to win. And like I said, the Yankees need to win. So they've got Luis Eel here on the mound in this important game going up against Kyle Bradish. Orioles looking to play spoiler against their nemesis. I guess that's fair to say here. Say what you will, that will motivate an average baseball player here. Not that the Yankees still aren't going to the playoffs. We know that, but they would be forced to give the title to the Jays here for let me get my stats in line here. For Kyle Bradish here now, just 5 starts, a 2.25 ERA, 1.0 whip, 184 batting average against, and a 281 BABIP for Luis Eel. He is 4-1 in 10 starts with a 3.29 ERA, 230 batting average against, and a 272 BABIP. Coming into this one, Baltimore has lost 7 of their last 8 to the Yankees. We took the Yankees yesterday, and we took them before, both days on the run line. Yankees are hot. They knew the task at hand. They've won 7 straight games coming in, 6 in a row at home. Have the Baltimore Orioles gone under lately? Yeah. Have they gone under every single time, it feels like here right now? Not only is Baltimore still going on with these rash of unders here of late, but so is this series actually between these two teams. Now, oops. Oh, lost my notes here. Way to ruin the show. Okay. Not only was it only 1 run there for the Orioles yesterday in that 6-1 loss. I'll just look over here at my stats board, my scoreboard here while I reboot the window here, if you know what I mean, and get my notes back up. But 9 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone under. So, last day of the season, kind of like remember when the football teams in the you just get in, get out, get the game over with, and get on to a summer vacation for the Baltimore Orioles. Here coming into this one, total is at 8.5 over 20. You got to be kidding me. Heavily juiced. I'm even seeing some 9s out there right now. Let me fix my graphic here a little bit. So give me the under in this one for sure with Baltimore and the Yankees. Baltimore's been a dead solid under for weeks right now, it feels like. And the Yankees also, like I said, 9 of the last 10 meet. Not only we're getting that massive run from Baltimore, but also they've gone under here, like I said, in 9 of the last 10 games against the Yankees overall. Yankees have also gone under in 7 of their last 9 games. Orioles have lost 7 of their last 8 here to the Yankees. Yankees could punish them here, but hey, maybe we'll get some good pitching. It could be close. $1.85 may actually be a notch or two too high, even though the division title is something certainly to play for and important too for the Yankees here. But don't forget the Blue Jays, they're at home too, and they're also nearly a $2 favorite. And Yankees, even though the games are being played at the same time, and it is baseball, so it's not like an NBA, but you're thinking in the back of your mind, the Blue Jays are probably expected to win. Mr. Westers likes Baltimore. Antoine says go under, and Kurt says go with the Yankees again because they've been beating them up for sure. And Mr. Westford says, you got Luis Eel here. Couldn't you do anything better than that? All right, I'll take the under in that one. All right, Nell, need your help here on this one. I'm not sure I can, even on this game right now, might need the Tony's Picks morning crew to come in here and kind of mop it up here. What I'm looking at with this one, we've got Detroit taking on Boston. I don't know if I have a line here at this hour. I'm going to try to piece it together and give the closest line possible that I can come up with here. You've got Giolito going up here, I think, against Paddock. I mean, how many times can Paddock pitch in one or in 1 week, or has he been in there and definitely not got held back here for this start here? Why would you want to pitch Chris Paddock here in this? Because you don't want to win the division or something like that. It's been a disaster here for the Tigers, of course, and with Paddock going, look, I think Giolito, man, could it be as low as $1? Yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty big number here with Giolito pitching in this one. But as of right now, as of this recording, no books have put out a line here of as of yet. And the way Boston's playing right now, the way Giolito's going, you wouldn't be surprised, right? If this was upwards of $1.75, maybe $1.80. Am I off base here with this one? Paddock comes in here with a 5.27 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. Of course, they're playing dreadfully here right now. Yeah, the Tigers have salvaged it a little bit. They put themselves at least in this position to try and win this game here right now. Remember, the Guardians have the head-to-head tiebreaker, so the Tigers need to win and the Guardians need to lose in order for the Tigers to win this division. And Cleveland is at home in a spot where they could certainly be favored against Texas. So let's see what you guys think, though, with these two. You got for Detroit coming in here right now. Like I said, they've salvaged it here a little bit. They've won a couple of games, but they're still 2-9 against the spread their last 11. Thing is, they've actually won 6 of their last 7 games against Boston. Boston's gone 12-5, however, their last 17 at home against Detroit. And Boston's gone under in 4 of their last 5. Detroit's gone under in 5 of their last 6 games coming into this one. So figure Boston's probably going to be a pretty big favorite. I think Detroit's probably going to have a decent effort here. Let's see what you guys say in the chat. If you guys have a line, please let me know in the chat. I don't want to be wrong on the on my quote of the line here. In this game, but like I said, it feels like you're going to be dealing upwards of $1.50. But $1.75. Maybe it won't be that high. It's just that Giolito's 10-4. The Red Sox are 18-8 with Giolito on the mound, and meanwhile the Tigers are 9-18 with Paddock on the mound. So, man, maybe it is going to be one-sided here for Boston. Know that. Boston situation, they're already signed, sealed, and delivered in their current playoff spot. So, or let me see what it is, right? I know on here. I know I said something wrong the other day, so I do like to get these situations right. So now we're all working on most of them here. Mr. Wester says Boston gets bounced in the first round. Kurt says take Boston on the money line, and Mr. Wester says the Tigers will have to go to the pen. I mean, that's what they're going to have to do this game here with the Cowboy on the mound. So, all right, I'll take the Red Sox on the run line here to. Man, they don't really have anything to. They're locked in. They're locked in right now. So, all right. I guess I did it, and I guess I went with the Red Sox anyways. But it's the last day of the season. Hi, Timothy Hawk. Nice to see you in there. And he says, in this one, go with the Red Sox to win. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Red Sox, they're pretty much locked in, right? I don't think the Tigers can clinch against them, because I think if the Tigers win, let's see, what is that? Because it would be Cleveland and Detroit. All right. Yeah, Red Sox position is all locked in there, right? The Red Sox hold the tiebreaker over the Guardians. That's why they're locked in. Okay, got it. So, Probably I'm going to take Detroit. First time I've ever wavered here on the pick. I'm going to take Detroit on the run line. It's going to be minus money, but look, if Boston comes, in fact, they'll probably only come about $1.50 because they won't have any motivation there. It feels like um, uh, Boston has the. Okay, they lose the tiebreaker to Detroit. All right, I hope I got that right. All right. Mr. Wesker says he likes Texas to beat Cleveland today. And let's see. And the Guardians need to win to get all three. Yeah, and that's the thing about the series here, right? We know that in this format that it's a 3-game series and it's all at the higher seeded team. No going back and forth here. I don't know why you don't. I mean, it's baseball. I mean, you can't travel for back in. They did it in the WNBA 3-game series. Went boop boop boop, and remember the WNBA was complaining about their travel. Speaking of travel, I'll continue on here with the baseball right now, but. Yeah, Mr. Westco says if the Guardians lose and Detroit wins, Detroit. Yeah, we know that they're battling for that division title. All right. And, they were talking about the situation there with the Vikings and the Steelers. They said the Vikings plane was very luxurious flying over them. The Steelers were all cramped up like it was a private charter, but the seats were a little bit tighter than the Viking seats. You want to handicap it that way. So, all right, we do have a line on this one of the Mets and the Marlins. Same thing here, right, with the Mets. Here on the road, $1.25. They're in that tiebreaker there with the Reds, but we do know that the Mets have to win given the situation here in the tiebreaker right now. The Mets can clinch, and the Reds need to lose. The Reds, meanwhile, can clinch with a win over the Brewers or a Mets loss. So the Mets got to win, and they got to get the Reds to lose in order to get in there right now, and they have Sean Manaea going here on the mound against Cabrera here. And, it doesn't feel real comfortable here. Yes, the Mets were able to get a 5-0 win there with Clay Holmes, but maybe Clay Holmes a little bit better option here, it feels like, than Sean Manaea here at this point. And got a guy like Cabrera who definitely can deal here for the Marlins. For the Mets coming in here with Manaea, 5.8 ERA, 1.22 whip, 322 batting average against. Cabrera, meanwhile, 7-7 record, 3.66 ERA, 237 batting average against. I know I lost yesterday with the Mets, but I'm taking the Mets here. I mean, I'm lost yesterday with the Marlins, but I'm taking the Marlins here again to maybe play spoiler here, and the Mets will, hey, the Mets offense, if they get it going, I'm sure they can handle it here, but still they're going to have to work through here going with Manaea, who can get beat up here a little bit. Mets have lost 13 of their last 20 coming into this one. They've also lost 5 of their last 7 against Miami. Miami's won 12 of their last 16, 5 of their last 7 games at home. I'm going to take the Marlins to spoil it here for the season and knock the Mets out. All right. Oh, I missed I think I had the games out of order here. Let me go back to it here at least. Let me get your comments here in the chat. Marlins for Timothy and Marlins for Kurt as well. All right, we've got the Rays. Sorry about that, Toronto. The Rays here with Ian Seymour has done a nice job so far here for Toronto coming in. For Tampa coming in, 3.02 ERA, 1.1 whip, 209 batting average against, a 268 BABIP, 4 starts, 18 appearances. He's up against Gausman here, not pulling any punches, at least for the Blue Jays here. Gausman, 10-11 record, 3.47 ERA, 211 batting average against. Coming in for Tampa Bay here, they have won 11 of their last 16 against Toronto, but Toronto's won 7 of 9 at home. They've won 5 4 of their last 6. Coming into this one, Tampa's dropped 4 of their last 6 games here on the road, including yesterday, as Toronto did kind of dominate that game yesterday with Yesevich, 5-1 there. I know we had a winner there, didn't we, gang, here on the show with Toronto yesterday. So I think Toronto can come in and handle it here, and I'll maybe look for them on the run line. I know it's probably a little bit juiced up for sure here in this matchup because they need to win, and you're looking at $2 line here right now. So I don't know if I'd give it out as a paid play, but I'm going to go ahead and take Toronto here to cover the run line against Tampa Bay today and get it done and wrap up the division there because of the tiebreaker there. As we said, Toronto does hold that tiebreaker over the Jays. So all they need to do is win. All they need to do is win. They don't need to win by 2, but I'll take them here in this one. All right. And we'll see what you got here right now. And I think Mr. Weskers is on the Blue Jays. Antoine's on the Marlins here. Timothy says Jays run line. They'll win that division. Kurt says Tampa Bay wins it and Caminero to get a home run. Thanks, you guys. We're really picking up the chat because I got some guys I can count on here today. Let's go through a couple more here right now with the Reds taking on the Brewers. Looking to beat up to the Reds here now. Look, I've got the Mets already losing. The Reds won't know that when they go into action here against the Brewers. They don't. They can just win. They can just win. They don't have to worry about the Mets. But should the Mets lose, they don't need to win this game. Going to be some scoreboard watching for sure as all the games take place at the same time here on Sunday in the major leagues at the 3 p.m. hour. For Singer here, he did not look good. The pressure was on that last game, right? And Singer gave up those runs early. He was giving up the long ball, 14-11, 3.95 ERA. He's 8-20 to the under is Singer, 1.22 whip, 235 batting average against for Freddie Peralta, 17-6 record, 2.68 ERA. Freddie's been good getting this tune-up. You know he's going to be ready for the postseason. The Brewers don't have to worry. They'll be waiting here, so they can start Freddie here. Just give him a start here. Doesn't have to go long. Just get his work in here. And that's what the Brewers, there'll definitely be a situation here. Look, what is it, $1.50 right now? Yeah, $1.50, $1.44 here in this one. So, but the Brewers will be playing loose. They may have some players off. We've already seen some teams just to, I know that there's some important, we're just covering the games that are important in the standings here right now, but we've already seen some players on some of the teams report, that this guy's out for rest, this guy's out for rest tomorrow. So you're going to want to have to deal with some of that here. And meanwhile, the Reds are going full bore. So I'm going to take the Reds here in this one to win against Milwaukee. Singer was roughed up for sure. I think Milwaukee eventually gets into the bullpen here. And just going to take the Reds on a little bit of momentum here to win this game. They, certainly have to worry about the Mets if they don't win the game, but they can settle it all with a win here, and maybe just a little bit better here than the Mets coming in, and maybe they can get it done. Cincinnati's won 8 of their last 10 games coming in for their last 5 on the road. The Brewers have actually lost 5 of 6 coming in, and still, funny thing is, they will, wrap up that number 1 because they have that tiebreaker. So the Brewers have nothing to play for. The Reds have been playing well, and I'm going to take them here against the Brewers on Sunday. Yep, Mr. Wesker. Yep, they did. They had the tiebreaker. So I think that's what, for B, kind of seals the deal in this one. All right. Oh, Kurt has it over. I missed that one. Here we go. Kurt, right? Could they? I think Freddie. He's kind of got a rubber arm. I think he'd prefer to pitch than rest here. So you're right. I think when you say not use Peralta, I think it's more so that Peralta goes at 3 or 4, and then they get into the bullpen. But you don't want to tax those guys too much either. But again, they're waiting for the whole week basically to get back into action. So you got to get in there a little bit. Timothy says take the Brewers -1. And let's see here. Kurt says Micabel got that revenge game there. uh, with that one. Yeah, we should have had that one for sure. Thanks, Kurt. See you later. Appreciate your work today with me in the chat. And we are pretty much done. We're going to go to the WNBA here too, but just want to mention one other game, and I don't think we have a line here on this one either, with the Rangers and Patrick Corbin going up here against, I believe it's Logan Allen. Now, there are some reports that Gavin Williams could be the starter here. And let me see if I can get a line yet. Could the Guardians be as high as $1.70 here in this one? Haven't seen a line yet. Don't see any lines yet out here for this matchup. And I think Logan Allen is the man here in this one. So we're going to have to kind of wing it here with these two. But hey, when you got Texas and Cleveland, I'd probably just go under here in this one for Corbin here, 7-11 record, 4.34 ERA, 266 batting average against. For Logan Allen, 28 starts. He's 10-16 to the under this season, 4.25 ERA coming into this one. For the Rangers here, pulling it up here down the stretch. We know they've been just dreadful here really of late. Lost 10 of their last 12 coming in, 5 of their last 6 on the road. Cleveland's 13-3 in their last 16 games overall coming into this one. Cleveland was able to get it done there yesterday. I think we had them right on the show there yesterday on the run line here. So probably going to come right back with them here no matter what. They obviously have a little bit of something to play for. Here they'll be playing the same time as the Tigers, but Cleveland's on a roll. So yeah, let me take them here in this one, and I'll go ahead and take them on the money line again to smash over Texas here on Night Moves, and that's a look at Major League Baseball for Sunday, the final game of the season. And appreciate it, Mr. Westerns. I think he likes some Texas, and let's see here. All right, that's it for the baseball. And I'm going to look here real quick at the matchup. Man, we got a nice match here in tennis right now between Leylah Fernandez and Coco Gauff. Fernandez going to have a set point here to send it to a third set right now. It looks like if she can hold on, serving for the set. Here, she's actually going to try to break her for the set. Gauff is serving here, so Leylah could break her serve here and go to a third set. I can't wait to get done with this show to watch the ladies here in the middle of the night. All right, let's see here. Guardians win -1. Yeah, we'll see. Look, I got to like Cleveland's pitching here for sure into the postseason. I think they are not only obviously finished with pretty strong record here right now. Yeah, they're battling it out. I get it with Detroit for that division title, and yeah, they'd like to have it for sure. But look, they've got to play in the wild card still. So, all right. I think that's the one. Also, kind of the interesting thing about it is that Cleveland and Detroit will meet again, right? If I'm Cleveland, I'm licking my chops. Remember, they used to have it back in the day. You couldn't play a same team in the division, whatever. Hey, not anymore. We're gonna have Cleveland and Detroit. Probably have Boston and the Yankees there. We'll see what happens if Toronto does it, but it could be and the Reds and the Dodgers probably as well. So we'll see. All right, let's get to the WNBA here real quick. Got a couple of plays here for you to talk about with the Aces taking on the Fever here. Aces favored in this one by 4.5, 159.5. I tried to get cute on the Fever last time. Probably wasn't the best move because, the one thing about the Fever is as well as they have done this year and achieved, it does feel like the Aces or as well as the Fever have done here, with it feels like their injuries kind of piled up here even at the end, and maybe the Aces were just that much better here, and they'll probably take them here in this one, probably take it down here in this matchup against the Fever coming in. It's 4.5 and about 159.5 or so in this one. Look, the Fever were in there pretty much the whole game, but then the Aces kind of started to, that's how they took over and just kind of coasted there. Not coasted, but fought it off and were comfortably covering the spread there over the last portion of the game. So, look, I think this one does go under here at 159.5. Let me make that my play because 4.5. I think it's probably going to fall in that number range here. Let me take the under here on night moves at 159.5 here in this one. All right. And Antoine's playing some tennis with me late night. And Links in the Mercury here with the Mercury favored by 4.5. The total 155.5. And Nafisa Collier will miss this game, and that's going to force here big time lineup change right now. You're going to be missing the superstar Collier in this game. No chance. I'm pretty sure she makes this lineup. Her status right now is out with an ankle injury, and so they'll have to step up. Not only that, they're missing Dejanay Carrington, who joined the team kind of after the second half, and pretty strong player, but they're missing her here as well. So I think Phoenix puts the kibosh on the Lynx. I like the Phoenix Mercury here to kind of club them here a little bit. And I think that's it for the Lynx. I think the coach going off, I think that was kind of the last stand there. The coach is suspended for this game for some very detrimental comments about the officiating being extremely subpar. Yeah. Is that my mustache there, guys? All right, I better shave here tonight. But for me, I'm going to go with Phoenix to blow them out here. Lay you 4.5 here. It looks like even at some spots right now. So the Lynx kind of end with a thud here, and there'll be another year without getting back to the top, as the Lynx had that best team pretty much all year, and then probably going to end up short here right now, amazingly enough, because of the collapse here. And Phoenix, Alyssa Thomas really has had an incredible season. Definitely was overlooked here in the MVP voting. Sure, Wilson was great, Collier was great too, but Alyssa Thomas probably should have been more considered here. I'll lay the points with Phoenix here on Sunday in the semifinals, and if those predictions come true, we'll have our NBA Finals. It'll be an all Desert Southwest final, won't it, when Las Vegas takes on Phoenix? All right, that's going to do it for Night Moves. Really appreciate you joining me here on the show. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll be back here every night, somewhere in the 2 o'clock hour Eastern time, 11 Pacific. Depends on how quickly I can get the show together. I mean, the games are running long there. Still didn't have all the lines for today's games, but we'll do the best we can every day here on Line Moves, especially now we're getting into we won't have any more baseball. We'll have to find out what to do for a couple of weeks until we get the NHL. We already know they're in the preseason, so we'll have plenty of sports action here in the weeks to come, including NHL and the WNBA finals as well. So I want to thank everyone for great cooperation in the chat. Feels like we're picking up some momentum with our chat all-stars here and getting me a little interaction so I don't feel so lonely up here on Night Moves. I want to thank Tony and the team here at Tony's Picks. You can go over to Tony'sPicks.com and check out our best bets over at Tony's Picks every day. Check us out over at Tony'sPicks.com and use that promo code Tony T at checkout to save 15% off all premium pick packages. Look at Ben coming off a big day there. Big day. Just go to the upcoming tab. You'll see all of our games here. Look at, we got guys lined up for some soccer action, that early NFL. The guys are ready to go as well. And games are listed there in chronological order. You can hook up with your favorite handicappers. Long-term, short-term, get the promo code Tony T at checkout there. On the individual day packages there, use that promo code Tony T at checkout to save 15%. Those packages are already have the discount built in for those long-term packages. So check us out over at Tony'sPicks.com on Sunday. Good luck to the guys. All right, that's going to do it here for Night Moves. We'll be back tomorrow evening, preview the action here on Monday. And for Tony'sPicks.com, I'm Ramon Scott. So long from Night Moves.